Hey there, Jonathan Shaw again with Entrepreneur Esquire, the channel where we talk about all the stuff they didn't teach you in law school, what you need to know to start your own small practice. Today I want to talk a little bit about the stuff. What do you need to get? What are the pieces of equipment you should have in your office to get yourself started? Okay, so one of the great things about being an attorney is that when you start a small practice, a solo practice, there's not a ton of overhead. Like we've talked about in a previous video, you don't have to spend a ton of money perhaps in rent, and you can have a different way to do it. You can work out of your basement and then use a virtual office, something like that, just to get started. Well, the same principle sort of applies for the equipment you're going to need, right? Now, think of it this way. You're not a dentist. You don't need the big expensive chairs and the pieces of equipment. Essentially what you need is a computer, a printer, some paper, some toner, and you're off to the races, right? A lot of the stuff that you're going to need is really sort of inside of the internet. And I'm talking about stuff for advertising, accounts, and things like that. So you don't need big, expensive pieces of equipment. Starting with computers, one of the mistakes that I made was that I used to think that, okay, well, I'm saving my stuff in the cloud, and so I don't need a lot of internal storage in my computer. And that was a mistake precisely because what I would do is look for sort of inexpensive computers, thinking that the RAM was the memory inside of the computer, right? So I would get stuff that's like 4 gigabytes of RAM, something like that, because everything's going to be uploaded. But then I started to see really slow computer speeds when I'm trying to do anything. The computers I bought for a couple of paralegals, same thing, cheap off of Amazon, refurbished, 4 gigabytes of RAM, really cheap, let's go, right? Well, then they started getting bogged down and they can't open websites, and I'm paying them to sit there to wait for the computer to load. And then I looked into it a little bit and I learned kind of the hard way that the 4 gigabytes of RAM and the 12 gigabytes of RAM or whatever doesn't mean memory storage within the computer. It means how strong the computer is, how fast it can work, right? And so that's a beginner rookie move that I made that I think that it's best if you don't make, right? So look at that part, the gigabytes, the RAM on the computer, and get something a little bit better, 12, 16. I installed new RAM on all those computers. Once I learned that, I had to order it off the internet, figure out how to open the computers, physically install the RAM inside of the computers, and got it to a point where they can actually work well now. But that was a rookie move on my part. So it's better to spend a little bit more money and invest in a little bit more speed in those computers, because again, once you get to the point where you have employees, you're going to be paying them to sit there and wait for the computer to move, right? And also, as you know, time. We don't have time, so you don't have time to sit there and mess with computer stuff. So if you're going to invest in something, make sure you spend a little bit of money on those computers. Now, moving to printers, one of the things that I learned early on working for another attorney is that you always want to have a backup printer. So you want to have your main good printer for the office and then sort of a backup printer. Something to keep in mind, again, like I said, attorneys, oftentimes we're not computer people, tech people. It's important to know your area of law and know if you print out a lot of paper. So in my area of law, for some reason, we're still in the year 1985, and in immigration courts, you still have to print everything and then bind it all together and have it all paginated and then turn it in physically to the clerk at the window in the immigration court, right? I've done other areas of law for years, bankruptcy, probates, family law, that type of stuff, where for decades probably you've been able to upload documents to the court online, and then it automatically serves the other party and all that, and it's great. But depending on your area of law, maybe you do estate planning, you're going to have to do a lot of printing as well. So know your area of law and sort of know how much you're going to have to print. It's important because printers inside of them have this part, and something else I learned the hard way, called a fuser, right? Didn't know about this until I melted the fuser on 2 different printers, because I'm just printing and printing and printing and printing hundreds of pages, thousands of pages, and then they just, what happens is you start to see these streaks throughout the page, and you think, oh, something's dirty, and you try to clean it, and then they're still there, and finally I got to the point where I had to call somebody to come in and look at my stuff, and that's what had been going on, is that I had melted my fuser. It's all deformed because I'm running too much paper through the thing. So I thought I was trying to save money on a big commercial printer, and in fact I was losing money because I wasn't willing to spend the money to get a good decent sized printer to take the capacity of stuff that I had to print. And I ended up buying a commercial printer anyways after melting two printers, and they're pretty decent printers. I liked the brand Brother, and I bought a pretty decent size. I would have a scanner and a printer and fax and all the stuff, but it wasn't big enough to handle my caseload. So rookie move. But what I did with that commercial printer is I found a refurbished one at a local printer shop from like a hospital or something, and it's been doing okay. Every now and then something messes up on it, and we just call the shop. They come over and fix it real quick, and we're doing pretty well with it. But that's our main printer, sort of where everybody, all the paralegals and all the other attorneys print to that machine, and we're always there by it, and it's kind of our communal space there. But it's our workhorse. Now, oftentimes the toner runs out on that printer, or something messes up. There's a gear that breaks or something, right? Because it's kind of a big machine, and so then I got to get somebody to come in and fix it. However, the judge isn't going to wait for me to fix it. I can't be in court saying, hey, you know, Your Honor, my printer died. Sorry, I didn't turn everything in on time, right? That's not how that works. And so always have a backup so that if you need to, you could still hit your deadlines and print things while you're getting your main one fixed, right? So remember, my rookie move, fuser. Don't make that mistake. A couple other pieces of equipment you might want to have. I have a small office, and so oftentimes I'm there and I'm not there, just depending, I don't know. So I have a security cam, and what I've done is I've gone with these security cameras from Amazon, and I'm gonna grab one because I have one sitting here, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay. So this little guy, right? It's pretty good. Just a little security camera I can set up in the corner. I don't have to spend a ton of money on a security system, and it has a microphone, records everything, keeps it all there, and it's just part of your Amazon account. So it's called the Amazon Cloud Cam. It's been great for me to have one up there in the corner of my office, and I have also one in the back, and then I can kind of keep an eye on things when I'm not there, but mostly kind of at night or whatever. My firm's not in the best part of town, I would say. So it's good to have one of these just to kind of, you know, it's more for peace of mind, I would say. I don't have a lot of break-ins, and we don't have cash of things on site. But it's probably good to have one. One of the coolest things I filmed on it was an earthquake. We had an earthquake here in Utah back in March 2020, and you can see some stuff moving, but the sound was great, and so it was interesting to get that on film. But anyways, don't spend a ton of money on a security system. Make sure your doors are locked, and then a couple of these will do what you need to do. As far as phones, okay, so I want to do a whole nother video on the phone system because I think that that's going to help out there with people, right? Right now I have 2 other attorneys, so we're 3 attorneys, myself and 2 other attorneys, and I have 4 paralegals and my receptionist. So that would be 8 employees at my firm, right? We have 3 desk phones. And so people are like, how does that work? What I do, and I'll explain it more in a different video, but I use a VoIP system, Vonage, and then I have a handset for my receptionist. By the way, here's another point for the receptionist and her telephone. Get one of those headsets so you can connect to it, so that she can put on that headset and type and work while she's talking on the phone, because she'll be scanning things and doing all kinds of stuff, but the phone calls will be coming in, hopefully for you. They do for me, they don't stop. And it's good to have her be able to do multitasking with that headset. So for the receptionist, you want a headset with that phone. I have another one that we only had actually in my office space, 2 phone connections. Instead of getting the whole place rewired, I bought another phone that worked with the Vonage system. However, it hooks up to Wi-Fi. So this is the funniest word, but they have this little sensor kind of antenna type thing that you plug in. It's like a USB port, and it's like a Wi-Fi antenna. The name for it is a dongle, if you can believe that. It's a dongle. So you get this dongle and you stick it in the USB port on this phone, and then it hooks up to the Wi-Fi, and you don't have to plug it into the wall. So right now we're still in the middle of this COVID period. A lot of us are working from home. So one of the other paralegals, what she did was just take that whole phone home, hook it up to the Wi-Fi at her house, plug it in the wall, and then any calls that the receptionist missed, they flow over to that second phone, and then she can pick them up and act as sort of a backup, just working from home without having to mess with stuff, right? So that's my second phone, and then my third phone is just in my office that I use when I'm there. And then how do I get around not having a whole handset phone for the other lawyers? Like, what do we do, right? What we've done in our office here is we harness the power of their cell phone. So working through Vonage, I have each of them download the Vonage business app, and then they log into my account there, and then they all have access to the text messages and to the phones. They can call out from their cell phone, receive phone calls, whatever, as if they have like a desk phone, but I don't have to invest the money in a desk phone and invest the money to set up a whole phone system, rewire the whole office so they can have access to a phone. So they all have access to a phone, to the text message, everything like that, but it's just on their own cell phone rather than a handset sitting there on their desk, sort of old school way. So that's another way to save a little bit of money. One of the things that I've tried to do with desks, and I don't know how this would work in your area, just kind of depends, but desks get expensive, and it's kind of this thing where, just like we talked about in the video about how to find an office space, it's like what does the furniture in my office portray? One time, this was several years ago, when I was working for somebody else, the firm hired another young attorney, and the young attorney decided he was going to save some money for the firm and went on Craigslist and bought this desk for like 40 bucks that he thought was like the best desk in the world. And when like he started to bring it in piece by piece, you could see that it was super old, ratty, kind of broken down, had the corner broken off, all kinds of weird stuff. So we just threw that in the trash and then invested a few $100s in a big desk. Now, Office Depot usually has some good deals, have some nice desks, and I've used those before and really liked them. But what I've done, I found a good little mom and pop shop here in close to Salt Lake City, Utah, where they sell new furniture, but pretty good prices, and they have sort of, I don't know, they look really nice, but it's not kind of gonna break the bank, right? And so there's this, it's like a line of furniture that's been pretty cheap, and I've been able to buy a receptionist desk with that, and then desk for my office, and desk for any other attorneys that I've been able to hire, and also a conference table, and it all looks like it's from the same, because it's from the same manufacturer, but it's just not, you know, top of the line from Costco or Ashley Furniture or something like that, right? Looks great, and the uniformity throughout the office with that approach has made it look nice and decent and professional. So it's something that I've really enjoyed in my office, to make sure that I'm portraying that we're a professional office and we're not just buying ratty stuff around. At the same time, like I said in that office space video, you don't necessarily need the top of the line stuff, the best stuff out there, because the message you're portraying to your client is that I'm super expensive and you can't afford me. And sometimes you don't want to do that, right? Now, in law offices, the decor is a little bit different, and it's something you got to think about, right? What I try to do with my office, sort of portray an experience and a message. When I was first starting, I wanted to show clients that were coming in that they were in the right place. And so when you walk into the current office that I'm at right now, on the left-hand wall, I have a TV hanging on the wall, and I run some of the YouTube videos that I make, and also some of the old news interviews that I've done with different channels. I've done some in English and in Spanish, but I run those on there to sort of say, hey, look, you know, it's the magic box. I've been on TV, you're in the right place, this is the guy you've been looking for, right? Also around the TV, I have several sort of images or photos printed out of me on different TV sets, Univision, Telemundo, whatever, doing interviews, to kind of say, hey, like this is you know, this is me, right? And it helps my clients kind of come in and be like, oh, look, he's been on the magic box on the TV, he's the guy we want to hire. Then on the right hand side, rather than having it in my office, I just have it out in the lobby. I have my diploma, and I have my my bar sort of license, I guess, the document they give you from Utah and from Colorado. I have one from the federal courts, having done immigration work, and a couple different things there to kind of show that, like, we have the knowledge and experience and the education to be able to help you in immigration law. Then to continue sort of with the decor, what I've done is gone on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace and just found a bunch of really old books, because in law offices you need old looking law books, right? That's the decor. So I found a bunch of those, and you could find a bunch of them cheap. One person was an old attorney from Wyoming who had graduated and apparently just saved a whole bunch of books from years and years and years and years, and had all these boxes of these really old, you know, the ones that are, I don't have one here, but sort of the brown looking leather cover that's kind of falling apart, turning into dust or whatever, but like those old style books just look wonderful. So I bought a bunch of those and just have them on the bookshelves, but I never touch them because they're kind of falling apart, right? And basically that's kind of what I've done, is so you don't want used furniture, but you know, those used books are really, they look really nice inside of a law firm. Aside from that, the other thing that you're going to constantly need is office supplies, and so I went ahead and got an Amazon business account. And if you can stay on top of it, that's what I would suggest, is stay on top of it and order your supplies from Amazon, because you can get better prices. If you're sort of in a pinch and you need a whole box of reams of paper, then you might need to run to a local store or whatever. But I've saved a bunch of money on office supplies, just always kind of being on top of it and ordering from Amazon. And the last tip, going back to the printer thing again, thinking about Amazon, toner for printers is not necessarily cheap in Amazon, and it's not cheap at all in like Office Depot and places like that. So again, what I've done is found a local print shop. I don't know what they do for their supplier, but they have a supplier that can provide them with toner at a lower price, and they refill the cartridges at their place. And so what I've done is just use that, and really it adds up if you're going to print a lot of paper. Anyway, so hopefully that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea about what you're going to need as far as materials to start your office space, right? Good computer for each person working there. Make sure your computer has 12, 16 gigabytes of RAM or more. That's not storage, right? What that is how powerful your unit is and how fast it's going to work. Remember that, because I did it the hard way. Think about how much paper you're going to go through, how much printing you're going to do, because if you're going to do a lot of printing like I do, you're going to melt the fuser inside of your machine, and it's going to cost more to fix it than it is just to buy a new machine. So make sure that you have an adequate printer for the print jobs that you're going to do, and then everything else, kind of piece it together. You know, it's not huge overhead. You're not buying these huge pieces of medical equipment or anything like that. You can make it work. I mean, office furniture, you can find decent office furniture, newish office furniture for cheaper prices. Sometimes you see other law offices going out of business or closing or moving, and they're getting rid of stuff, and so you can grab that stuff up and you can do a good job. But again, go cheap, but at the same time, always think about, what message am I sending to my client with this piece of furniture? That I'm a poor attorney and I don't have any cases and I don't have any money, so this is all I can afford? Or am I way too expensive, and so this is the nice piece of furniture that you're going to be paying for with your attorney's fees? Or somewhere in the middle that's nice, right? And anyways, hopefully this video has helped you, and if it has, please consider subscribing, and we'll keep putting out more content relating to all the stuff they don't teach you in law school about what you need to do to set up your own small office.